Hey everybody, Adam from Alice Gunworks. Take a minute today to talk real quick about unsupported chambers. So here we have a 40 caliber case. This is what it would look like when you look at it. And then the case is going to slide into the gun pretty much this whole way, right? So this will give you a good idea how the case fits into what you're seeing when you look at a case in a gun. And then if we've cut this one back, of course, and what you'll notice here is that if we look at the end of the case right here and roll over, that part's still thick in here. They call it the supported part. So the case has extra support here. So what that means is on the ramp here, you can have a little bit of that exposed as long as it's still this thick part. And that brass there is strong enough to withstand the pressure that you're going to get, from the case firing. When you don't have that part supported, what happens is this part right here, the extra pressure makes it bump out. Now, they call it the 40 bulge. Glock 40 bulge. Poor Glock gets blamed for this, but almost all the new defensive guns have got a super angle here because they'll feed better. And we're seeing it a ton now with 9mm where you're getting the guns or a lot of bad 9mm brass. So what we often do is set up one of these cases, and we'll see if we can get a good look in here. That's probably the best angle you guys are going to see. But see, this case, this barrel's out of an STI gun, but plenty of support here. Plenty of support. So a lot of the feeding problems we're seeing, and I don't know how many other guys struggle with reloading, but if you get range pickup brass, whether it be 40 or 9, and probably some other calibers that I don't reload enough to know, but there's just so many unsupported cases that are blowing up the brass here. And the reason they do the unsupported or not as supported is probably a better word, marginally supported cases, because there's a variance here. If you're right on this line, it may only do, which is probably where most of them end up, it probably only bulge out or wreck, I don't know, one in a couple hundred cases. And every case is going to sit just a little bit different in there. So, if you're riding this line here, that's where the problems start. And, it tapers here a little too. So it's definitely bad here, but in this zone, who knows? So the reason they do that is defensive guns and some of the cheaper or less important manufacturers expect you're shooting new brass and you're throwing it out anyway. So it's not a terrible idea to cut one of these back and check a chamber if you were worried about it, but in our competition type guns, you're not going to see that a whole lot. Where your problems are going to lie is in the reloading. So it makes sense to make sure you know where your brass comes from. If you brass out of your gun's probably going to reload much, much easier and cleaner than brass from range pickup or that you bought from somewhere. If you buy brass from somewhere, I usually pay the extra little bit and try to get it rolled. Or there's a couple different machines out there that allow you to roll brass. It makes sense probably to have brass that came from somewhere unknown to you rolled. So that's what it means that when a case is unsupported. And remember that if you just put a whole case in here, your regular case, it's always going to, if there's a little bit sticking out here on this bottom edge or something, that's not a problem because the case is actually supported. So you need to know exactly where that is if you're building guns, of course. But if you trust your gun builder, that's fine. But really the story here is that in the reloading process, there's a lot to be done to the brass if you're getting range pickup brass, because so many of these new guns are riding this line because the geometry of the gun makes them do that to get them to feed perfectly or well or however. So that's what unsupported chambers will do or cause problems in. If it's super unsupported, if you had somebody who cut one like that, where you had all this exposed, you probably weren't going to shoot, couple mags before it blew up one. One just blew out the whole bottom. And when that's kind of, it feels usually worse than it is, but all the pressure comes down the mag well, you know, through the bottom of the gun here, so it blows the mag catch out usually, and then gas comes out this way. You'll have some gas coming out the ejection port area. So anyway, be aware of your own guns, making sure they don't have unsupported chambers, and usually if they do, you'd know pretty quick. And then at the same time, it really makes sense to try to get all your brass corrected or rolled. The through size dies, somebody asked the other day, those work fine, they're just super slow. The roll sizers are just a lot quicker. Hope to see you guys on the range soon.